Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is the Chivalrous Knight. Making my first video. The name Chivalrous Knight is sort of a play on my personality and the paying homage to my high school, which were the Black Knights. So anyway, I just thought I'd reach out to all those people out there that's possibly interested in being a truck driver. I'm doing really well right now, but I feel like I wanted to tell my story from the beginning, just in case some people are interested and on the fence about coming out here and being a truck driver. The process was fairly simple and straightforward, as long as you got, the slightest bit of natural ability to adapt to the vehicle, which you won't find out till you get out there and give it a try. You will have no problem getting in a truck and driving all across the country like I have and many others. So my first experience began when I got tired of working 12-hour shifts and 13-hour shifts and overtime and breaking my back to make a couple dollars, going into debt and all that stuff. It was just time to make a change, time to make a sacrifice by getting out on the road and leaving the family at home. And I'm a stepfather to three, and I have my own one biological child, and which I keep in touch with them, of course, through the phone and text messages. They're all at that age. So yeah, I started looking for trucking companies to get started with. Back then, I came across C.R. England and Swift, and I ended up going to the Swift Academy. C.R. England's, at the time, I'm in Virginia, so they were recommending I go to some third-party school that was about 200 miles away, and after that, I would get into a truck with I think another new student that just graduated from CDL school, and we would team drive for like 3 months to 6 months or something like that. And they were paying like 16 cents a mile, and they were saying you can make like $500 a week. It sounded horrible, and if they're still doing that now, it still sounds horrible. Swift was paying 36 cents a mile at the time, and they got the job done as long as you drove about around 3,000 miles a week, which isn't that hard to do. As long as they keep sending you, keep you, to new places, keep you moving, keep those pre-plans coming to your Qualcomm. It was a fairly easy thing. Plus, I got lucky very early on in Swift. But anyways, I'll start by telling you that I went to the Swift Academy, which was in Richmond, Virginia. We had a class of no more than 15 people, so the classes were not that big, which is good. We spent a week in the classroom. Every day you took written tests. Right before that, of course, you had to have your DOT physical, and I think you had to come with your Class A learner's permit, which meant you just went to DMV and took the study for the computer part of it and passed the test for the air brakes and the combination, which was, after you studied a little bit, that was super easy. It basically was word for word from what you studied in the book. The book, it's not no jokes or tricks or anything like that. It's pretty much straightforward. And so I got my learner's permit before I showed up, and got my DOT physical before I showed up. If you waited until you got there, they also helped you get your DOT physical in the Richmond situation. Those schools are ran differently. Because I think the one in Utah, you're not even supposed to show up with anything. You're just supposed to just show up on the street, and they'll take you through the whole process from the learner's permit all the way through, I believe. So you will get set up if you choose. If you live closer, if you don't live close, they'll set you up to stay at a hotel if that's what you choose to do. That will add that to the price of your loan. Only thing you got to afford is the food. You'll stay in that hotel as a student. It was the Candlewood down in Sandston, Virginia. You will be rooming up with about 2 other guys in most cases, if it was, because you're not the only ones there. They got the Candlewood sort of contracted out, and it would be the first week people, the second week people, the third week people, the fourth week people, and the fifth week people. And if somebody don't make it, I think there'll be some 6-week people that'll come back and take a couple of days to get themselves straight and try to go back for the DMV test again. So your particular class in the classroom is only going to be about 15 or so, 15 or 20 or whatever. But there's like, maybe 80 people there in different parts of the process. You only spend a week in the classroom. Once you get past the written test, if you don't pass the written test, of course, they give you more than one chance to pass. If you can't, you just leave. I don't remember them how much they charge you at that point. I don't think they charge you at all if you don't make it through the first week. Unless you got the hotel, then they probably charge you something, but not the whole price. I think the whole price is like $4,000 if you do the hotel and do the training together. You get through that. At the end of the first week, you'll do the backing, I believe, something like that. And if you can't do the straight back, then at that point they let you go, once again at a prorated amount. If you figure if you can't back up straight with the truck, you'll never get the concept of parallel parking or alley dock parking, 90-degree, things like that, which are 10 times more complicated. And you let you go. A couple people didn't make it through that. That was sort of the big dividing point right there. Basically, everybody that made it past the first week and made it past the straight line backing, pretty much I can say for the most part, made it through to the DMV certification and got their license. Pretty much everybody. I know in my class we were 100%. Everybody that made it to the test, to the DMV test, passed the test. If not that first week, then they came back 2 or 3 days later and redid it again, and they passed it then. So it was all good. And that's the process. The trainers have been truck drivers. They were truck drivers for between 10 and 15 and 20 years. They're retired in some cases, and they're coming there and they're instructing you on the range, which is where you do all your actual driving. And I hear now the DMV instructor actually comes to the range at Swift Academy when it's time for you to do the certification part at the end to get your license, which is real good because you don't have to go off to a foreign place. You get to drive in the area that you're used to, that you've been driving on for weeks. Same cones, same setup, same parking lanes. So that's even better than when I was there. You'll be driving more likely. We were driving International ProStars 10 speeds. I don't know if they changed that or not in Richmond, Virginia. Every terminal I think is driving something different. From there, you have a 3-day orientation. You get paid for, I want to say, like $150 for orientation. I think it's $50 a day. And then after you complete the 3 days, the mentor, they will be hooking you up with mentors who will come in with either the company trucks or or a lot of them are owner operators. And it's the perfect setup for owner operators over there, because that's the way to make a lot of money. So my mentor was out of Atlanta terminal, so they actually sent me on a Greyhound there. They sent a couple people different places. A couple people got picked up right there in Richmond, and that'll be the situation. That'll be the same everywhere. These guys are from all across the country. These mentors, they're not specifically anywhere, located anywhere near you, your hometown. And I think you gotta do about 350 hours in the driver's seat with your mentor, which breaks down to like 4 to 5 weeks, depending on how much you stay in the driver's seat. The more the better. The quicker you get out, the better. While you're out there, they were paying like $9 an hour for every hour you were on duty, which means all your drive time or time you were parking at a dock, going to get paperwork, things like that. As long as you're on duty or driving, you would get paid per hour for that, which is pretty good, because it's easy to accumulate 40, 50 hours, no problem, in a truck. Especially out there for 7 days a week. So your pay is pretty decent. I think taking home like 500, somewhere around that, each week that I was out there, a little bit more sometimes. And basically out there with your mentor, they're just going to show you all the most important aspects of trucking, how to deal with traffic on the highway, how to deal with traffic in the city. Make sure you're doing your lane changes and signaling right. Make sure you're picking the right turn lane when you get to a turning situation at a traffic light or stop sign. Make sure you do plenty of backing. I think there's like 40 backings you have to do that they have to check off, which is easy to do if somebody just sits you down and make you do like 10 of them in one sitting. It can be done in the truck stop, empty parking lot, every time you back to a dock, things like that. After that, I graduated. Well, I completed the training with the mentor. I went to the Atlanta terminal where I completed that whole process, where it's completed totally once you come back, and you got to do a driving test, a swift driving test, a swift backing test, and you have to take a test on the macros, which is the use of the Qualcomm. They want to know that you remember what those macros commands are that you use to send your messages to your driver manager, headquarters, and things of that nature. So you'll be reading that macros manual while you're out on the road. Most of them through driving you'll get used to. You'll be like, which one is it again? And you'll see the number, and your mentor reminds you what the number is, and you'll go ahead and put it in. And once you do that enough, a lot of them will stick with you. The ones you use the most, it's the ones you have to study that you don't really ever use. So those ones you have to keep in mind. The test, I can't remember how many questions it was. I think it was like, 15, 20 questions or something like that. You come back, you got all out of the truck, now you got to sit in this office, take this test, hand them the test, let them grade it. Then they can say, okay, you're done with that part. Now you can go out and do your backing and driving part, which basically meant drive around the block. They want to make sure that you actually can drive in shift, and then they'll have you back into a parking space. I think they'll have you back into one, and then go around and back into another one, something like that. And then you are now clear to get your truck. And you don't really get to choose for the most part. You're fortunate if you're in an area with a lot of trucks, at a terminal with a lot of trucks, because then you kind of can say, ooh, I want that black one, or that red one, or that one, the 15 instead of the 14. You'll have that moment. Some people did get pretty lucky. Some people got like trucks that were actually owner-operator trucks that they turned in and turned back into company trucks and stuff like that. Things like that. They had some new automatic Kenworths when I did my test when I got back, and so I think somebody got a new automatic Kenworth at the time. And that's pretty much the process. You'll check the truck out, they'll assign it to you, you'll get your Easy Pass, pre-pass for the windshield, for the tolls, and they'll assign you your permit book with all the permits in it that's up to date. You know, you'll have the keys and put your fresh mattress in the back so you don't be sleeping on nothing nobody else been on. And they'll charge you for a enforcer lock, which is a lock that goes on your kingpin, and then it has a lock that goes on your door, so you can lock up your, you know, whatever you're shipping, whatever freight you're shipping, moving at the time. And in case you ever have to drop the trailer somewhere and it needs to secure the kingpin, so no one else can just back into it and take it off. And that'll be charged to your paycheck. I think it's broken up into like $10 or $20 a week. You don't even realize it actually, because most of them don't even explain it to you when you get it. They just say, oh yeah, go pick up your lock. You don't even know what you're paying for it. Which means that when you leave Swift, you can take it with you, which is a very good thing. It sucks if you ever lose it, because then you got to pay for another one. But that's that. And that's pretty much my experience in the beginning of Swift. And I think I'll stop there. You know, if anybody got any questions, you know, once again, this is the Chivalrous Knight. This is my first video, one of many to come, and I just want to share this truck driving experience from my perspective. You got any comments, I'll try my best to respond to them. Subscribe to my channel, let your friends know, whatever. And women, y'all can come out here and get in the truck too. I would love to see more women out here, because I know a lot of women struggling. Y'all can get, if you ain't got no kids, and then you can get out here too. And I met a few women out here, young women in their early 20s. Man, this is the best situation for anybody in their 20s that ain't got really nothing else going on. You start trucking now, in a couple of years, you could be making 50, 60, 70,000 a year. Where else can you do that? So I'm just recommending to male or female, young or old, you're not, you know, you really, as long as you can move around, get in and out of a truck, you ain't too old. It's for everybody, you know, as long as you don't mind being on the road and hustling to make the money. The beginning part of it is pretty slow, but I got out of my company driving experience real quick. I was onto a dedicated account, and then I was leasing within 6 months. So anyways, anybody can do that, and I'm just gonna let y'all know about my process. So anyway, this is Chivalrous Knight, and I'm out. Y'all have a good one.